Welcome, one and all, to Planet Poetry 28 in August. This month, we have a great lineup, as we do. This particular project is where all the poets, the invited poets, about 15 poets, use the share screen to present their work so we can see their written craft along as they read to us. So it kind of helps a different type of an engagement. This event has been going on for about a year and a half now. It's become part of the Poetry Global Network. I'm chancellor of its Poetry Academy, which does events like this and workshops and a variety of other festival events. We were partners with the Singapore Poetry Festival, where I met some of the people here. I'm so happy he came along. And we will be doing one where I live in Chicago in October, which will be similarly a live and online event where we'll have several readers from the stage in a bookstore, in a large bookstore in Chicago, and a whole bunch of screens set up so that we can have readers from all over the world be reading at the same time. I think this type of hybrid event is going to be a great addition to the way we're all looking at poetry in the future. So I will begin to break the ice. I'm Mark Fishbein. I'm a native New Yorker. I graduated CCNY in 1971, got a maîtrise at the Sorbonne in Paris. I have 7 collections of poetry. My most recent one is Reflections in the Time of Trumpius Maximus, which is a journal of those 4 years. Took 4 years to write through Atmosphere Press, and we'll see how that book takes off in a year or two when everybody is able to think straight about this character. And I'm a chancellor of the Poetry Academy, as I said, and I'm also known as Poet with Guitar. I do play, not today, but I love to play, especially in person and at clubs and things like that. It helps my poetry reading. And I think that good poetry finds the sweet spot between meaning and being. And I'm currently based in Chicago. So I will begin with my set. Uh, I'm going to read from this collection that I've been putting together for a lot of years. It's called Poets for Poets Only, Poetry on Poems and Poets, Poetry and Poets. And so many of us poets write about the process of writing or defining our art and its meaning to us. It's a very, very common romantic theme. It's very prominent. And for me, I can't stop doing it, but I can't imagine what could be more boring to non-poets. But we're all poets here, so I feel I'm in a safe place. There are quite a few. I've been writing for over 50 years, and I guess I write one of these at least once a year, so here are 5 of them. This one is Sonnet to Self, and why poetry? Singers don't ask why they sing. Painters don't question their coloring. Dancers don't complain of pain. Composers don't make music from shame. But oh, the suffering we poets endure to craft a verse that is pure. How lonely is our chosen path, tormented souls who swoon with wrath. Madness and suicide is our fate. So why do I commiserate? Poets are the lowest paid, mostly buried in paupers' graves. No one cares how you take to flight, so shut up about it and just write. And a little coda to that was, good luck with that. Notes from the Poetry Workshop Holiday Party. The marshmallows are vegan. The sassafras is hydroponic. The mushrooms are sauteed in cannabis and sunflower oils. The short ribs are tofu, seasoned with lava salts. Please recycle your chopsticks. Lotus teas are served with honeycomb in cups modeled after ancient Mesopotamia. The poems are printed using a seaweed-based dye on elephant dung paper. Outside the window, 2 dogs have completed their smelling rituals and copulate freely. Put down the pen. The poetry begins. Poetry Conference. Here in this temple of the muses, we poets loiter at the sermon with our biblical anthologies. They ask, what is poetry? Half the group answers in metaphors, the other expounds the art of noise. We agree to disagree. They ask again, what is poetry? I define it as I define myself. That is, I do and I don't. They say I must ask, every day I must ask, what is poetry? Because it's not so simple and is so simple as this poem.
Mm.
Abracadabra. Ruins collage from empires which leave us stupefied in shards from deities which died. Time is faster than the eye. Choral wholeness, ocean dirge, harmonize with winds upsurge, to beat within the beaten tide. Sound is faster than the eye. Skyscraped prisms, domes of ice in galaxies of paradise. As bathers comb celestial skies, light is faster than the eye. Poetry, seize the present time, put a spell on these words of mine, that I compose of light and mind, and the pen be faster than the eye. And finally, in the great poetry anthology, could it all be put in one song, one short ballad, to sing of the wilderness, the cities and their tears, the indescribable finality of infinite galaxies? Praise she who shared my bed, praise the years as I played the fiddle like a dizzy bird of paradise. Before I wear your patience, I ask only this. Do not judge me from these words alone. If this is all that remains of me in some anthology, I need to feel you empathize. I lived in bliss. I kissed the soil, ate the figs, flew like a bird. And thank you. Thank you all for muting. I did not mute you. And you can mute yourselves, and afterwards you can say something if you'd like to, or and we'll move on from there. But thank you all very much. And put your comments in the chat and all that. So I'll begin today with our first reader after myself is Chris Mooney Singh, is a Sikh by choice and calls three places home. Australia, his birthplace, Singapore, where he lives and works writing, teaching and spearheading the spoken word movement as the founder of Poetry Slam and Lit Up Asia Festival. His third address is India, his spiritual home, where he and his wife also have a home and a small farm in the northern state of Punjab. Chris is a PhD in creative writing from Monash University in Melbourne, Australia, and has published several collections of verse, as well as being anthologized in several short fiction anthologies. A sometimes musician, he's added his ebook creation, filmmaking, editing, and his skill set. Access his ebooks, he'll put in the chat, I'm sure, where we can reach Chris. And Chris, please take it away. My pleasure to introduce you.
Thank you, Mark, and welcome to everybody from wherever you are, whether you're in the future, from the future like me. It's all relative, of course. Makata's map is probably should be turned upside down. So I'm going to do two pieces. This piece I wrote, I'm dedicated today to our Chicagoan host. I did this piece at Bottoms Up, another virtual reading, just about a week ago. But I've actually created a video backing for this, and I've added some music. So let's have a listen. Okay, not that one, different one. That's my second piece. Here we go. It's called I Hear Him Shower and Shave, then sit before a living room altar, taking time out from gunland Chicago. He has placed a marble Buddha, dream catcher eagle feathers and wish stones from Lake Michigan. I, the sleeping bag house guest from Southeast Asia, rise each morning quiet as a ghost and tiptoe to the kitchen, imagining Slam Pappy's inner spiel to the Slam God. Bodhisattva of stray poets, Big Daddy-O, you brought me from down luck Southside Chicago to a jazz bar Sunday night mecca called the Green Mill to stage the glam of slam, wherefore I am. I've done my part, Lord, making poetry a contact sport. Hold from a bar top for thy public sake. Like any good house guest, I brewed the coffee, black as crude. I pass him a cup, then drink down Carl Sandburg, E.E. Cummings, some Emily Dickinson, a dollop of Homer. And all overheard from the front room, followed by his own brash repertoire of kiss it, kick it, scream it, verse to put Stallion Buck back into the sacrament of poetry. Yes, I have crawled on all fours along barroom floors to make my words flesh, then leapt onto an imaginary high wire. We the apes of spoken word keep picking at our fleas at the Poetry Slam. 3 rounds. 3 rounds of the Rattlesnake Circus, a battle of curses and comedy and roses, famous from Chicago to Singapore to Slamburg. I have faced off with the pundits on Talkback TV. At festival forums, I've played the bad boy, the bastardizer of tradition. I've led the poetry wars, risen, fallen, fallen, and risen. I'm a hard-working bard, Lord. I have done my part. This is his shtick. Old spiel pulled down from bookshelf classics, self-learned, telling the canon and styled into slam speak. Perhaps this is his ken and beyond his zen and beyond my ken, yet I too now have a yen to read the dregs of my own coffee cup heart, to spruik and joke, roll my eyes or rebuke, to break through and wake the spectacular Naga slumbering in the South China Sea. Yes, I have drunk down some of the percolated motor oil chi of Chi Town in this stormy, husky, brawling city of big shoulders, yelling its gregarious yorb, fierce as a dog with tongue lapping for action. Howling next door in the living room, inside the cave of wall-to-wall dead living poets, here beside the third coast, breaking the fourth wall of a theatrical moment called America. This fine slam morning. So, a little tribute to my time when I met Mark Smith and stayed with him, the world founder of Poetry Slam, which I began in 2003 in Singapore and a couple of years later in Malaysia. Now, I believe in books as well, so it's not all about performance, but I think that why the slam has been so valuable is because we like to listen to poetry. It's endemic to the nature of what we do, and combined with books and reading, it's a perfect marriage. So now I want to share with you a video that I created. In fact, that I think, like many people, we learnt new skills during COVID. So I learned a bit of film editing and filmmaking. So this is a poem of mine. It's a villanelle called The Lighthouse. Let me see if I can get it going here. Just a moment. I'm going to... Wrong one. Just give me a second to stop that. Here we go. There was a lighthouse once, old timers say, beyond the rocks and detonating white. Seldom do the ships pass by this way. There is no sign or map, no shortwave mayday. There isn't a lamp or flapping weather kite. There was a lighthouse once, old timers say. The Eye, they called it. Is that hokey hearsay? Memory loves to trick, then overwrite. Seldom do the ships pass by this way. Nothing is firm beneath the Milky Way. I am the single sentinel here tonight. There was a lighthouse once, old timers say. Lick and taste the flick and whip of sea spray and hope there is a stargate to the light. Seldom do the ships pass by this way. I'll keep returning to this moonless bay. One day or night I'll cross from dark to bright. There was a lighthouse once, old timers say. Seldom do the ships pass by this way. Thank you. Thanks for sharing, allowing me to share.
Now, hey, remember, not all learn.
So yeah, that's my little offering today.
Wow, thank you. So, I mean, I think using this medium the way you are is just absolutely fabulous. You're creating a whole new way of approaching the poetry. I loved every moment of it. I'm just jealous, and I think it's just wonderful. I think we all did. What a great creative way of putting in these great poems of yours, Chris. I think we all agree that was just great.
I'll post a link to a multimedia poetry book of mine set in India called Love Not Tantra, all about, well, that subject. Yeah, it's free to download.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing that. It's really a treat for all of us. And my next reader was supposed to be Unmeshed, who is a good friend of mine, and I guess he the hour might have put him out, and he hasn't come in yet, and hopefully he'll make it. So I'll move on to Tanish Kaur. Tanish, hi. She's a writer, a painter, an educator of East Indian descent based in the Bay Area. Their poetry appears in San Francisco Public Library's Poem in the Day series, Lake Country, The Bloom, and forthcoming anthology of Great Weather for Media, and was long listed for the 2021 Frontier Poetry Open Prize. You can read more of her work in English and Spanish at her site, which she'll put in the chat. And Tanish, welcome.
Unmute. Thank you, Mark. Hi, everyone. Great to be here. So this is something I'm working on, and it's an ekphrastic exploration of an Afro-Indian love story. It's sort of the exploration of the spirit and physical worlds as they merge. And so let me just share screen. And these are my paintings, and the poems came afterwards. So it is pretty much ekphrastic. Y'all can see that, right?
Yes. Right now we just have a black screen, but yes.
Right. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Divine resolution. Lady Liberty's torch, inflamed injustice, waving stars and stripes, burning a flag. It reminds us why we fight this nation from the inside. Our own Vietnam today, we protest. Garvey, Hughes, Du Bois declared and declares still. We need a flag to rise, to symbolize what we are. Who are we not to listen to their voices in the moon of foundation, electric ocean protection, soil our salvation, leafy photosynthetic vibration,
Could all please mute? Thank you.
mission, wedding pink elation, ring our completion, our life circulation, sun our liberation, a beaming ovation, teardrop paisley our constellation, our ancestors' vision, encased in opaline patina, healing our torch in endless flame, a revolution, a divine resolution.
Huh.
Into the colors of the world. Before you know who you draw, long hairs on the shower tile walls, sketching a family you know is possible, you know who animates the calm. Still, in your brain you search until no skin, no skeleton can love like this humble revolutionary bumblebee. You've dreamed but never seen the impossible dares possible this beautiful beard, whose heart is your match, lighting you like Palo Santo shining, the feathers of your mind, lightning in the sky of your cerebellum, your inner cortex, scats Ella and flashes into the colors of the world. A kind of blue and yellow, where we and God meet. Green, the beginning, our lifetimes collapse from corpora to zygote. We float and touch in flesh separation. Remember, our souls inseparable, insatiable spotlight, a beacon, a glow so pure, a cure, a longing, a kind of blue and yellow. Conviction of delicate wings, bird humming, tunes a heart, fresh strawberry harmonies, flashing, fierce fleece lava like lightness, like air. The uterus thirsts for autonomy, surrender. This, the anatomy of love, where insides touch in time entwine, skin to skin, silk to silk, Kashmiri dashiki, skillfully arching a loom in transcendence, in improvisation. Who forbids us? Who defies this? Dare try, you blasphemous things, and watch the conviction of delicate wings. Bass, treble, tango. I fly in your essence. You lift me up while grounded hoverbirds whistle your name. We tango to Coltrane, a dance our melody like strings, Your guitar we strum, we tie the knot, our heart. A start, a fine-tuned halo, sun burning yesterday, singeing the old, a spider, a curse. We flirt together, in crescendo, the ears, arms, knees, the ease of our rhythm aligning our spines, the bass, the treble. Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, it's, I guess I'll stop sharing.
Wow.
Thank you.
Oh, wow, there's so many great artists here today. That was a, I had no idea. I've never seen your artwork before. It's so put together with your words. That was just both. So far, I've just been mesmerized here. Thank you very much. That was wonderful, Tanish.
I would like to say that all of that footage, most of that, yeah, all of that footage is from India and San Francisco. So you might have recognized it if you're familiar with India.
Oh, that was wonderful. Thank you. I'm sure we all got the same. It was just mesmerizing, as was Chris's. And to our next mesmerizing poet today is Rawle James. Hi, Rawle. There you are. Rawle was born in Trinidad and Tobago and grew up in Brooklyn, New York, where I was born. He also spent time in Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., and lived the majority of his adult years in Toronto, Ontario, and Kelowna, British Columbia.
Yeah.
Kelowna. Thank you. British Columbia, Canada, spent over 25 years in the corporate world in a variety of roles, performing various tasks alongside good-hearted and well-intentioned people. Rawle would tell you that he is a student of life, and thus life is his greatest teacher. He is a personal leadership and spiritual coach, a poet that uses poetry as an invitation to examine life. He's committed to being of service to those seeking holistic and inside-out approach to understanding themselves and tapping into their vault of wisdom. You are your purpose. You are not broken, nor do you need fixing. Welcome, Rawle.
Thank you, Mark. I'll take the after the years in the corporate world with good intended people, because we were good intended people that sometimes did shit so because of a paycheck. But wow, what a gathering, and I'm humbled and honored to be in such company, and Christian Tanis, I guess I'm pronouncing it properly. You inspired me because I'm actually going through a bunch of photos. I've always considered myself a bit of an iPhone photographer, so I'm trying to pair some of my new poetry with photos. So maybe I might invite video into this next array of poetry. I've got 3 pieces I'd like to share, and this is all new to me, the shared screen. I think I've only done it once before, but I am really looking forward to it. So just bear with me as I share. And I'll ask the questions. Can you see? Hopefully the font is big enough that you can read.
Yes.
This first piece is called Answer to the Question. This piece is in my book that's coming out in September, called In Flow with Grace. Where the infinite possibilities of nothing, the illusion of choice governs this construct of life. Our insanity is driven by our collective fears in the quest for answer to bottomless questions. Beyond the intellect of philosophy, religion, and reason, who is aware of what am I thinking? Listening as I ask the questions. Who is listening? Who am I? Perceptions entertain humorously and freely as it witness my struggle with self. All along knowing the answer to the question is the asking of the question in the pursuit of wisdom that leads to answering these questions. We become conscious of the consciousness that we are the question and the answer for where the infinite possibility of nothing that manifests all. So that's the end of that piece. This next piece I call Because. For those of you that might be familiar with African myth and folklore, in the in the Zulu traditions, they believe in Ubuntu, the global village. I am that you are, and I wrote this in that spirit. I am grounded in truth's love, connected to the inner goodness that reflects the virtue and essence of my humanity. We are one from the beginning, into this now and to the end. We're not only the good of life or the beauty of our souls, but together we're the torrent river onward. In a relationship with time and space and all things for the moment is all things. All that we do and all that we are is spiritual and not a destination. You are the charge between atoms, binding the eternal silence that ignites the inherent spark of friendship's grace. In the bittersweet embrace from a woman's cry, her pain propels us forward on the path of the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful of life experiences. Rooted in every little step as a reminder that I am because you are. End of piece. And this last one, following your lead there, our fearless leader, Mark, for the love of poets. I want to walk with the poets of my time, to meet and embrace them as I breathe in their thoughts. I'm praying to the gods and waiting for a star to be birthed. As I look to the skies, I ponder, am I a poet? At times I struggle with this label, with that label. The word derives from the Greek meaning to make, one who brings experiences to life through words. Some believe a poet is someone special. It is their artistic expression that stirs creation. We are in constant pursuit of the myth called truth. In part, it is the practice of beliefs and the alchemy of sages. It's the vibrancy of different styles of sovereign thinking from beyond and the imperfections of life experiences. A poet's confidence is balanced between knowledge and imagination. I do not seek perfection, for perfection resides within the poet. Last night, my sleep became a time machine to the ages as I awoke in a dream traveling in a quilt feather pen. Doors appears as port of calls into a glimpse of their madness. I am a wish in real time, coming to life in suspended time. Pen and paper in hand as I'm compelled to create. Language spills from my pen into permanence on the page. I am a poet that writes all forms, for I am not just a love poet. On the contrary, I'm a poet that writes poems that inspires love. End of piece. Thank you, poets. Thank you so much.
Oh. Well, yes, you did. Indeed inspires. And what a, I got kind of chills reading that poem and looking at the screen, like the screen, the gallery view of the screen. And I think going back in time one day, we'll look at that and go, wow, yes, that was us back then.
Yeah.
Because this is where poetry lives today. Actually, it doesn't live in the bookstores because there are no bookstores, at least not so many in the United
a
States.
few years ago, I was invited to do an event, and they were doing the classics of literature, art, dance, and all these things. And I was asked, this is when I lived in Kelowna in British Columbia, and I was asked to represent poetry, and they wanted me to pick a poet from the classics. And I kind of pushed back against it. I said, because I said, I hang out with the classic poets today. Tomorrow's classics, tomorrow's masters are here today. So I kind of came from that perspective. And so that piece I remember that, and that piece came from that. So I don't, I have great respect for those that came before, Browning and Shelley and Keats and Shakespeare, and all of them. But the poets today, like the ones I see before me, Julian and Gastav and Chris, I've heard Chris a couple of times. I'm just a big fan already. Those are, to me, the masters and the mistresses and the classics that one day we'll talk about. So that's what inspires me.
They were just like us. They had toast and coffee. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rawle. That was a great, and love the little pictures you put in as well as your words. I never saw your work before. I've always heard your work, and it does add a little something to see the great craft that you put into writing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Well, our next poet is Ravichandra Shitampally, I believe, was the chair Department of English, University of Mysore. He is the Northrop Frye Fellow, University of Toronto, the Sunday Mall, Lakeview Annual Shakespeare, Otherwise Engaged, Aurora and Blossoms, Allo, Dreech, Dilly Roon Review, in parenthesis, all kinds of many different places he's been published. He's translated from Kannada into English and published in Sahitra Academy in New Delhi. He reads his poems on Q's Blue World and Unmeshed Life, and he presently lives in Malaysia. And I will share the screen for you.
Thank you.
And you tell me which ones you care to read, and I'll scroll for you. Thank you.
I'll begin with the very first one, March of Time. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay. March of Time, Winter Race. This is a cycle of 13 poems. I was quite influenced by Wilhelm Müller, reading his lyrics and then listening to Schubert's rendering of them. Those were the days when I was traveling and a bit in Austria. And as I was driving, I would be listening to Schubert quite a bit. So here you are, March of Time. Like a gravida strolling, the year saunters along the avenue of our lives, while fate, like a fond companion holding hand, keeps measure. Though forced to mask the visage, avoiding all human touch with great care, we survive in our winter like the weather vane, rusting, peeling, creaking, or still. Can we go on to number 3? The Walk. Now that the snow carpets all things, I wonder if the trails in the woods sequester your footprints for warmer hours, to burn me with remember passion, if I should walk again those tracks. I watch those shrouded figures shuffle while I sit, my hands snug around a mug of hot coffee every morning, watching. I never knew gates were so unique. The 4th one, Nocturnal. Like a city vomiting nightly, vermin, prowlers, and guilty drunks, the sky too regurgitates every night, the unchanging denizens in slow motion. The only surprise is an intrusive shrike who impales tardy time upon a star spike. The crickets too have fallen quiet, while the night condensed upon a leaf mirrors a sliver of light soaring back to skyey grace. The Sentinel, the 7th one. Days past and days to come are not different from the boom that rises up and falls down each time a vehicle passes. Time, the uniform keeper of gates, remains faceless, though all lift their hands in greeting as they pass by the figure at post. I wonder if the cold will ever touch him.
Hmm.
The ninth one, on a sunny winter morning. The grass is lush green this winter. The serpent uncoils its length to the sun. The thrush whistles to its companion. I see children kicking ball on the green, and the baby in the pram waving its hands. Then I think of those times I watched an ibex upon a distant wall, yearning for the snowfields and the chough's yellow beak. Oh, those September evenings back home.
Hmm.
I guess I'll go to the very last one, the 13th in the cycle, the day's discard. The unfading flowers on a never browning lawn hides just so. The moaning within the house. The child yet bounces the ball against the wall as death drives up to collect the day's discard. Thank you.
Hmm.
Wow.
Thank you. I think I'd like to stay on the page a lot with a lot of these poems. What's nice about this event too is that everything's on YouTube in a couple of days, and you can go and really come back and get a second look at some of these really great poems that we have here. That was really wonderful, Ravi. Schubert came late to me in life. I never, I always kind of, as a class, I love classical music, but I came late to Schubert. But once you finally find those long melodies that go on, those long, long lines that find resolution, it does become very, very meditative indeed. And thank you for sharing that new form of lighter that you did. Just really great. Enjoyed very much the economy of words that you use and the high craft. And thank you. It was a great read.
I'm grateful to all you lovely poets for talking so warmly about the little nonsense that I write and I read here now.
We're all in the same boat. Thank you. Well, next is Julian Matthews, a former journalist from Malaysia who's published the American Journal of Poetry, Beltway Poetry Quarterly, and Borderless Journal, among others. He stumbled onto poetry by accident 5 years ago, which seems amazing since when you hear his work, it seems to be quite mature as far as a writer. His happy accident turned out into a rabid compulsion for all of us. For many of us who have seen Julian perform on the open mics, it's always a great treat. Julian.
Hi. Um, just got a series of poems I'm writing about small things, everyday things. Some of y'all have heard this before. There are 4 of them here today. Let's see.
I lost the share, Julian.
Oh, can you see it now?
No, I have the gallery view.
Oh, okay. Let me
Sure.
try again.
Sure. You got it now. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Clean break. I miss your low drone, your no-nonsense business-like growl ready to pounce on quarry under the couch. Or stick your slanted mouth to seize prey huddling in their crevices. The web they weave in high places. A wedding gift that the marriage outlasted, you soon lost your breath. Age takes its toll, the game less tempting, you coughed and sputtered in protest, your wheels dragging. You even shocked us once. And we finally got the message you had swelled up and emptied once too often, maybe. The world has gone bagless since robots scour your hunting grounds now, solo and unmanned, ignoring corners, getting snagged on rugs, infuriating cats. In the end, consistency matters. That steady routine every weekend when we worked in tandem as a team to rid our tiny world of our tiny mess. Your box in the storeroom sits empty now. The snap of your power cord no more, your efficient hum a distant echo, leaving a vacuum in our hearts. that no other sucker will ever fill. This is called rotating fan. I was looking for a graphic to illustrate this and very surprisingly stumbled upon this particular one, which is listed in the Matthews Fan Company. No relation. I guess you're not into spin. It's rotation and pivot action that turns you on. It's a kind of meditation, even contemplative. First this side, stop. Then that side, stop. Back and forth with soldier-like regularity. A sinking brass player in a marching band. You are a moving instrument, orchestrating the air. The word for it is oscillate, from the Latin oscillare, which means to swing. But you're no swinger. You're a go-go gator dancer, caged on a wall, gyrating to your own rhythm, the music in your head, wind sublime. Unlike a pendulum that tells time, your tick-tock clockwork motion is what brings the chill factor to every room, rendering us all cooler than we seem. Thank you. The next one is called Black Shirt. I probably bought it decades ago as formal wear for functions and night events. When matched with a black jacket, it didn't require the constriction of a tie. They added that the vertical white stripes would make me look thinner in old age. But today I lift it off the rack with weighted heaviness again. I put it on, look heavenward and sigh like lowering a flag to half-mast. Time's unforgiving arc eventually bends toward more funerals than weddings. Amid the pandemic, the informality on Zoom didn't require its service. So it hung in the wardrobe, patiently waiting like a mother awaits a wayward son to come home. Like a mother ready to clothe you in a warm embrace, yet button you up in her grace. Like a mother ever ready to shoulder your every despair, yet straighten your collar of its tardiness and tuck in self-control in your pants. Like a mother sneakily slipping you in sleeves of spirituality and filling a pocket of gratitude just over your heart. I check myself in the mirror, and under the light I see that the shirt has faded. Its midnight matte has given in to a shade of pale, almost ashen gray. At the funeral, I note that traditional black at these memorials is no longer a must these days, or perhaps some people just didn't get the memo. Or maybe I too should look with renewed eyes at death and blackness as being mutually exclusive. That all these endings can be bright new beginnings, that I should stop picking at the stitches of this grief and not let this sadness crease the remaining fading fabric of our lives. Or maybe I should just go out and buy a new shirt. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Julian. We didn't see the bottom part of the poem. We didn't scroll, but we caught it anyway. It's very fun. I love those poems too. Like, I guess in the old days, Ode to Common Things was like, to a Greek urn, and then came Neruda, and now comes Julian Matthews. It's great to vacuum cleaners and fans, and you do that quite well. It's great fun. Thank you. It's wonderful, wonderful reading. And our next poet, thank you, Julian, for staying up with us also. I know it's very late I try to vary the times to make it a little bit easier for certain time zones. I know it's very late in the other part of the world. So thank you all for staying with us. So our next poet is Stephen Schwei. Steve is part of a group of poets that meet every Monday, a workshop. and called the DC Poetry Workshop. And everybody's invited to join that if you're interested in workshops. And I find Steve is always his comments are always just amazing. He's a pushcart nominated poet with Wisconsin roots, now living in Houston, has published one collection, Bluebonnet Whispers, Tales of a Gay Man. He's been writing since college and has been published in at least 40 magazines and journals, and participates in various open mics and workshops locally, nationally, and internationally, and here. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. All four of these poems are from my collection, Bluebonnet Whispers. This is my most published poem, Satellites. We have but one satellite that we've barely bothered to name, our moon. What if we had more? Imagine the comings and goings, the interweaving complex logistics of a planet with 12 moons, or even just 2. We would see rare sightings, alignments, and events, confounding the ebb, more ebb, and flow of the tides, the source of a tortured zodiac, many pearls in the sky to glow on fresh lovers. Different size satellites, various colors and atmospheres, perhaps some twisting and turning in strange wobbly orbits, named for whomever from our past. We would have a choice of which to explore first, a wealth of information about our universe, a treasure hunt for life right in our own backyard. As much as I like the rhythms and patterns and majesty of our moon, I feel slightly cheated, having missed the dance of a crowd of satellites circling this sleepy planet. And then here's the title poem from my collection, Bluebonnet Whispers. Just this side of a bluebonnet field, the sun squints through the pines above a cluster of smoke columns, topping each plume with a candle flame. Pines dominate the land where campers graze, concealed in fabric shelters from which whispers wisp during the evening pause. The grace of the day folds into the hollow dark of the night. Mysteries unfurl, furtive possibilities scamper. Adventurers peer out, forage, seeking revelry in forest pockets, or quiet contemplation by the campfire. Planned connections and happenstance occurrences ignite with sparking logs. Embers linger, explorers retreat as satisfied murmurs behind the flaps slink away until dawn. And here's another poem about the moon. I have several. Moon lovers. Why did I ever tie my lover to the moon? Entangle him in all its phases. Now its ascendancy is his face, its slow rise, his and my history. Just a sliver in a cloudless sky as we began with tender hopes. 1,000 triggers on 1,000 nights, promises of celestial guidance. As it slumped on its back lazily, we grew comfortable and in love, growing and brightening each night towards the full moon in all its glory. We struggled with distance and separation, musing if we saw the same moon as our gaze fell upon it in unison from 2 different earthly continents. Some clouds, some clear nights, it cycled many times before we faded. He escaped its snares and embarked on a new journey. The bright moon remains painted with his smile and my tears. All I want now is for the forever moon to return to its still beauty. And this last one, solidarity. Whatever happened to you happened to me, she assured me when she saw me looking down. A large black woman in an orange blouse and lots of interesting jewelry at a gay bar. It came at the right time. Something had hit me hard that night. I'm no longer even sure what it was. Hard enough that I couldn't hide it. She offered support in a way that got to me immediately. Solidarity. What brings you down brings me down. We're all connected and share each other's burden. We will also rise up together. Thank you very much.
Yes, we certainly are all connected and share each other's burden, and that was a good testament to all the to poetry and to your life, Steve. Thank you. I think we all got a lot out of that. Good craft. Thank you. Uh, so, Anna, I assume you're on David Somerset's. Is that you? Indeed? Thank you. So Anna Somerset, our next poet, was brought up in Chalfont to St. Gilles, where Milton's cottage still stands. She has been writing off and on for the last decade and has headlined at Survivors Poetry and London's Paper Tiger Poetry. She is also a filmmaker and sometimes actor. Today's poems reflect her passion and for water and swimming. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you so much, Mark. Oh dear. Right, right, sorry, I'll do the share screen. Right, share screen. Oh gosh.
Was I going to help you with that, actually?
I think I've done it. I think I've got
Oh,
it.
great. Oh, great. Okay.
Sorry, I'm not that. I'm a bit of a.
You're there.
Yeah, I'm there. Sorry. Yeah. I've also got a film of one of them. I wonder if I could sort of share that. We'll see how we go. Right. So this is called Poem That Emerged from the Depths of Lake 32. Lake 32 was a former gravel pit in the Cotswolds where skeletons of prehistoric animals were found as it was being dredged. It is now an incredibly beautiful body of water where you can undertake a long swim, and I did a morning's poetry workshop there with dialect writers. It's a pathetic fallacy that you can force poetry like you can rhubarb. Rhubarb. Take a poet to a lake and verse will immerse and simmer in sunny spells, give or take a bit of greyness squalls. A full-bodied mass of virgin water, straight out of the aquifer. Young stuff meant to put the rush in the windrush and the churn in the churn, nurseries of the wild Thames. In any case, the cyan sky catcalls my inner siren. Black poplars, sentinels guarding the horizon, shout courage to elderly me. I, the bravest, the only one without rubbery prophylactics to protect the water from my rapacious thirst. My floral costume is more technicolor than you will ever be. I enter the lake, and we are lovers. Two mothers meet and weep with joy, and my tears become her body. I throw away the weight of the world when I devour the lake, this miracle of iridescent light and life. Exploring her body, my hair unfurls. This is certainly the swan song of my siren days. Full-bodied like the lake, not floundering but filtering, joy from light and pure sweet water that glistens and dances in harmony with me. The mammoths and aurochs are dormant below, but this mammoth matriarch emerges, queen of depths and shallows. This other one I've got a film of. I wonder if I can just quickly get it. Because I'm such a clod, so I think we'll have to leave it. Sorry, I'll go back to that. Sorry. Right, right. So this is called A Poem is Floating to the Surface. Splash! We poor air suckers throw our flabby bodies in the wild waters, sacrificial offerings in the offing, reliant on the tide not turning on us, the wellness chasers fighting for nails. Head underwater, weedy muscles finely freed, fueled by the energy of the rustling reeds. Then, physical contact. Communing communicates something fluently or effluently. A poem is floating to the surface. A poem is floating to the surface too. A poem is floating to the surface, not doggerel, but more than somewhat scatological. Shit speaks volumes. Whilst dividends are squirreled away silently offshore, voters, floaters, and their familiars' offerings, swirling feasts for bacteria and pathogens, microsporia, salmonella, coronaviruses. Sickness gifted to you by floating voters, buoyant byproducts, big jobs apparently from the party of business, shit-fueled spinning for the greedy and the gullible. And so, communing with nature goes down the toilet. Right, this is a happier one about swimming in Hampstead ponds. What I found in the pond. In the spring-fed water, I find pondweed, 2 skimming kingfishers kissing, moorhens and coots on the Meg, and myself, the lesser-spotted red-breasted middle-aged bird, one cold November morn. The water is kissing my philtrum, arouses some ancestral memory. Atlantean, Permian, whatever, I'm in my element. The relief of 7 degrees of froideur when your womanliness is combusting, the thrill of the burning chill reaching parts which may have been hibernating. This spring fires me with an ardor I thought long since sighed for. In this pond, I see reflected my better self, alive and thriving, nurturing soul's salvation and wild woman's evolution. That's it. That's it.
That's too good. I love the way you invent all those words. Scatterological.
Scatological. It's not invented, it's real.
Logical. That's wonderful. And some others. That was just. I'm really looking forward to reading these poems again. And the way you read them also, it was just a good experience. I love them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
That's
you.
just great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, our next poet is Jiang Tu. There were some other poets that I know are quite excited to be here. Leslie Constable and Unmesh and some others, and they haven't showed. I'm sure they have their reasons why, and that they're on the list, and hopefully they'll come to join us. I see that Lantern Carrier has joined us, and he didn't know if he was going to make it. So Lantern, please prepare something, and we'll get you into this set as well, as we were hoping to. I know you're in New York. Well, our next poet, who was supposed to be Leslie, is now going to be Jiang. Jiang also is part of my workshop group that we do Monday nights, and I found her comments and her work absolutely fascinating. She's a published author, editor, and translator of many textbooks, children's literature and literature books, founder of Next Gen Education, a founding member of National Book Club for Kids, and an international consultant for the RGEP Renovation and General Education Project for Vietnam Ministry and Education and Training in the United Nations World Bank. She holds a PhD in education from Michigan State University and an MA in English Literature from Nanjing University. She's a bilingual poet, and her most recent poem was published in Caesura. Jiang, you're on mute, dear. Okay.
Thank you, Mark.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. It's really an honor to be here. So it's my first time here, and it's really like a poetry feast. I've got 3 poems. So the first one is Obsidian. Can everyone see it?
Yes.
Obsidian, shamelessly bold, boiling lava, hits icy ocean, cold as mistrust, misunderstanding, and all other myths. It all happened too fast. No time for crystallization. Sharper than diamond and a surgeon's steel blade. A giant black tape on the mid-melt mouth of the ocean. My second poem was written in Chinese, and here's a little translation. It was written in 4 pairs of couplets with quite strict rhyme and tonal schemes. And this garden, I have a picture. I have some pictures here. So most were taken by me, and I think this one I got from the website. It's wisteria flowers. So it's a garden in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I know we have several people from this area. So I don't know if you guys have been there. Tanish? It's an absolutely amazing place. And so I'm gonna read the Chinese, and here's the English translation. 露重霜降日，枫红杏黄时。桂香朝夕雾，竹绿长短枝。彼岸枯山水，白沙绕青石。叶落轩锦里，斑斓画秋池。So I really love this garden because it's like more than 100 years, and an American couple copied everything from Japan because they loved this garden so much. And this Japanese garden was actually heavily influenced by Chinese gardens and has lots of Tang Dynasty flavors and elements in it. So whenever I went there, I felt like it's kind of like time and space travel. So, so here's another poem inspired by this garden. Hakone Gardens. Once in a while, I need to come back to you, pluck my heart out, soak it in a jade green wave of bamboo. Rinse off its dust in your pond, set it free, let it swim, chase koi fish and a few wandering clouds, until cold morning dews all evaporate from the mossy mountains and white sanded rock garden. I need to shower in a slow scent of a sweet olive tree, which flicks like incense Grandma's wrinkled hands held, and a bell's wavering ringing from a blue bricked temple on the other side of the ocean. I needed to look up to a sky dressed with cherry blossom, maple, and magnolia, to the silent sound of whispering wisteria, drop a petal or two. Thank you.
Thank you, Jiang. That was wonderful. You know, as poets in a workshop, we so often see our work. We're presenting works in progress, so we don't get to see each other's finished, revised poems. And these were just, since I've not seen too many of yours other than works in progress, they're amazing, Jiang. We're so happy that you were able to read them to us. And I love the bilingual work as well, as sure we all did. And thank you for joining. So we have three more poets we're reading tonight in this program. We have Gustav next, and then Anna Lindsay, and then Landon will finish up, and then we'll open up to an open mic for anybody else who'd like to read. So Gustav Salas next. Gustav, I met. He's a Francophile and a favorite wherever he performs in Zoom poetry circles. Very modest in his bio. He's a performer, poet, and political activist living in West Palm Beach, Florida. I will put your poems on for you. Gustav, take me a second. Hold on, please. Okay. There it is. Okay. Sorry, Gustav, I forgot that I was sharing for you, and here we go.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Mark. Thank you. I appreciate it. Can we enlarge that just a little bit? Is that possible?
Absolutely. Of course. Hold on, please.
Thank you.
Oh, where is he? Whoops. Come back. Oh, wait.
Beautiful.
Oh, okay. Where are you? Why are you? It's a little, somehow it got dirtied up. I don't know why. Do you see that? I don't know why. You know, it looks like it just became gray, and I don't know why. So I'm going to stop the share and come back to it.
Okay.
And find out why that's happening. And I don't know why that's happening. Gustav, let me move on. Let me fix it up. Move on to the next poet. Okay. and then I'll get right back. I don't know why that's happened. Okay, thank you for that, Anna. I'm going to move on to Anna first. So Anna Lindsay, let me move to your, you sent me a bio, which I have here. Yes. Anna is based in Cambridge, UK, where she was adopted by two cats before lockdown, or that way it was. She's a published novelist and poet and is becoming an artist. She has previously done a variety of things, from working with heroin addicts, triad members, and maximum security prisoners in Hong Kong, to teaching English in Switzerland. She loves to connect with great people and can be found on Facebook, and please put that in the chat. She's the author of Eden Undone. Anna Lindsay from Cambridge, a good friend and also a member of our poetry group. You might be on mute, Anna.
Sorry, thanks.
There you go.
I'm just saying, hi everybody. It's a privilege to be here. I'm accessing Zoom from my phone, so if you're sort of waving at me or anything, I can't see it. I only read the comments at the end. But let me share. I'm going to share 4 poems today. I was actually going to, yeah. So they're all very recent ones. And I hope that you will enjoy them. Perseid meteor shower. I wait and wait for the brash flash of molten stars to slash the skies above me, second guessing the corners of my eyes. Did they catch a glimpse, too swift for conscious thought, or not? I have almost given up, chilled despite this August warmth, when there it is, unmistakable, etching itself indelibly, long after skies are dark once more. In my treasured vault of memory, that arc of light, celestial jetty of dazzling flight. Uncle, uncle, I want to cry. But the universe has already moved on from brushing the dust off its feet. Second one coming up. And so this is a completely different one as style and topic, and it's called Indoor Cat. I am the purrer of fresh dawns, watching over nascent days, lip reading the lift and lisp of leaves that rustle in the breeze, curtsying to wind, welcoming the blush which heralds sun, soak up the sky and swallow stars. My human thinks I sleep all night, but I am here, watching the squirrels in their leaping lightness, wood doves wedding spats and makeups which shake the branches as if teasing me. I see the cheeky tail of a neighbour's cat, which would not dare come near if I were there, or printing dew. But this window will not yield to my command, and I must guard my human while she sleeps, unconscious of my outdoor yearning, silhouetted by first light which fought and won against cold night. And third one, whatchamacall alert here, it is about death, so that's if that's going to be an issue for somebody, just letting you know, trigger warning. Called The Box. Yesterday we said goodbye to the box. I think it was pine. We spoke as though it were sentient, nodded towards it, rested loving hands upon its lid, brim-eyed, before our somber walk back into uncaring sunlight, laughter, and the meet and greet that always follows such farewells. The process is as polished and discreet as the brass rail which separates us from the short-lived box, which within minutes will be consumed by flames, outlasted by white, fragile flowers, which wreathe our sadness and accompany our steps back, outdoors, into the rest of day. Behind us, smoothly, Practice staff swiftly switch the wooden centerpiece, ready for the next group of casket grievers. And my final one, actually prompted by Mark's pieces earlier on today, so I decided to add this one in, and it's called The Poets. We are the diamond makers, distilling words until they're gems, glowing under pressure from the weight of thoughts. And then we cut the dust of carbon syllables, the extraneous fillers, fine for fuel, but futile for lines sharp enough to cut through expectations. We are the diamond makers for whom a misplaced dash determines fractures, or who capture the starshine's brilliance in the shape of sounds. When we have finished, polished, trimmed our words, facets refract the light, sparkling in unexpected might. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Yeah, I'm a little bit familiar with some of those poems, and they just sound better all the time with you reading them and you becoming the cats. That's very nice. Always great read. Thank you, Anna, for that.
Thank you. Oh, and there's lots of comments. Thank you. I will try and reply to them.
Sure.
Oh,
I do have I have Gustav's poems now ready to go. I don't know what happened when the screen turns gray that way. I just had to reboot it up. So take it away, Gustav. Are you on mute? Yes, you're on mute. Yes.
Oops. Greetings, everyone. It's an honor to be with you today. This is the stochastic ekphrastics, Hieronymus Bosch, Garden of Earthly Delights. Welcome to the Garden of Earthly Delights. Welcome to the Palace of Unseeable Sights. Sensual pleasures await the brave. Eternal damnation awaits the knave. Bosch ate some shrooms, of that I am certain, and he got a glimpse when he pulled back the curtain of a blissful world for the righteous to enjoy, a hellscape for the evil who seek to destroy. And this next one is The Persistence of Memory. I'm about to get ekphrastic just to prove my mind's elastic. Dali's clocks melting like plastic makes me feel a little stochastic. Ants swarm the pocket watch. Symbolism kicks you in the crotch. The persistence of memory of 1931. One war coming, another just done. The rotting flesh of a surreal creature, a bleak landscape with just one feature. Dali discredited completely the world of reality, till reality made of Dali a fatality. This next one is called The Go Van Gogh. Self-portrait with bandaged ear, an impressionist work painted in 1889 by an artist prone to losing his mind. Vincent cut his own ear. How he did it, I'll never get clear. Madness written on his gaunt features. Creatives are the oddest of creatures. And this next piece is Andy Warhol's Mao. Mao, 199 silk screen paintings in 5 scales, 1972 to 1973. Warhol interprets the photo reproduced everywhere during the height of the Cultural Revolution from 1966 to 1976, when Mao killed millions of Chinese people. Warhol examines fame, capitalist advertising, and the raw power of propaganda with his bold colors splashed over the repeated image of the tyrant Mao. Mao got the Marilyn Monroe treatment, entered the Warhol mythos, and became as famous in America as a can of Campbell's tomato soup. And this next piece is Magritte's The Lovers 2. Renee, oblique display, intimate cessation, only frustration and isolation, two lovers in a hooded kiss, clearly something is amiss. And this last piece is Alex Gray, Oversoul. Oversoul by the visionary artist Alex Gray is just like how my head feels today. Human consciousness is a bridge between planetary and cosmic consciousness. This is the theme behind this holographic universe. This is the now. This is ever the now. Live in the now. And this last piece is I wrote in French and I translated it the other day on Mark's insistence. And I hope the translation gives you a sense of the French. I'll read it in French now. L'absurdité franglais, une amuse-gueule. Plutôt, je dirais, fous le camp dans le marais. L'emmerdeur, tu me fais chier. Va te faire foutre avec ton plié. Voulez-vous coucher avec moi? Je te connais quand même pas. Ferme ta gueule, espèce de con. Je n'aime pas du tout le ton. Mais changez donc le poisson. Je t'adore de toute façon. Non pareil dans l'espace. Tout perdu, ma sagesse. Fais gaffe à toi avec la classe. Bien sûr, personne ne prend ta place. Mange maintenant le foie gras. Excité dans mes bras. Dans mon cœur, tu vivras. Pour toujours, juste comme ça. Ça plein pour moi, ça plein pour moi, ça plein pour moi, moi, ça plein pour moi. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Gustav. That was just great fun, right? Everything, both the ekphrastic work and the La Poème Française. So really nice. Really enjoyed that a lot. Looking forward to seeing it again and again. And I got them now on my computer screen, so I'm going to keep using it. Thank you. Well, our last poet, it's always nice to end with the lantern carrier, the one that carries the lantern, the great lantern of great spiritual poetry and transcendent poetry. I don't have your biography in front of me, Lantern. Cecil, as I know you. I know you're in New York now, and good for you doing poetry projects so that you're living in England. And you've got all kinds of books and publications, and maybe you could tell us a little about yourself, and I'll get the share on for you. I know you're on your phone.
Yes, I'm known as the Lantern Carrier. I'm here in Jamaica, Queens, New York. I'm here for the pilgrimage initially, and which is almost at an end. We have a last function tonight. And then next week, I'll be doing the Poetry Festival with Marissa Prada and on the Saturday and Kemlin on Sunday before I return to London. And I have visited in New York once, at least, where I met Advocate of Words and his lovely partner, Mariella. I haven't met Ron Thompson yet.
You're in Queens, New York, and you're in Jamaica. I went to Jamaica High School. So
yes, you mentioned that you 60 years. Yes. It's all changed now.
Well, I see you only send me one poem, Lantern. Go.
Yes, because normally I would put it on my desktop, but I'm using someone else's desktop, and I couldn't figure it out for a moment. Sure, so I sent you Transformation. Well, I do have one on Kindness, which I could read as well if you want to. But anyone.
Sure, yeah. Read this first, and then you can close with that for sure.
Okay, thank you. Shall I start?
Please.
Transformation. Where there is the symphony of love in every movement, visible and invisible, there will always be joy. I gaze as the flames of radiant candles lights up the world, even as the wafts of flowers offer up themselves in sacrifice to elevate my spirit. Love has always been here. When she resonates at a certain pitch, my heart recedes into an abyss of darkness. Again, at a different frequency, the moon and stars sit at my window, dancing to the cadences of myriad nebulae. I was once lost in an arid desert, searching for the oasis of my homeland. I wept God's longing, entreated the rain to douse my desires. Funny to feel Hades burning, grace rushing in to quell my shadowy fears. Now I'm alive to the rays of heaven's sweetness, and it's funny to see the indigo moon dance with me, mingling in the ocean of its luster. The shooting stars smile with delight. Funny to see how chasms vanish with you, transforming my darkness into an illuminating dawn. Where there is the symphony of love in every possible motion, the soul will play like a lute to the beat of enchantingly beautiful music. That was that. Do you want to hear the kindness bit? It's the short one.
We can end with that, of
Sorry, you
course.
can't see it. It's written similar style, 4 lines per stanzas, not long. I was thinking of my mother when I wrote that one. The breeze takes wings, carrying our kindness where we share it. Church bells salute, resonating our goodness to humanity, while cemeteries recite requiems of our goodness. My mother lived the life of self-giving, sacrifice, and concern so intense, they vibrated in the ether. Humans flocked to a funeral like songbirds, silently chanting her name, whispering the sweet virtues of a compassionate heart. Love's kindness flames dance within, with the gracefulness of celestial nymphs. Heaven cascaded roses on a life of love. Earth rejoices one resonance to the unified voices at her tombstone. Kindness spreads like my mother's self-giving, enveloping the universe like giant carousels of light. Lantern says, when I was lost in my darkness, it was her candela of brightness that showed me the way. Oh, kindness, stay within my soul, so together we can saturate this world with the light of love, erasing all shadows from this citadel of the immortal one. Lantern Carrier, thank you.
Well, thank you. And
Thank
thank you
you,
all
Mark. I didn't
thank
think
you all
I'd make it, but I did.
that's wonderful. Thank you all for attending. There are a couple of us that were on the roster that weren't able to show. So that ends the formal edition for today. I'm going to stop the recording.